Morning, everybody. So moving on to the DAX. So the DAX is still concerning me a little bit. I don't really see a nice swing trade at the moment, so I'm kind of just scalping on the daily basis at the moment. So we'll get into this now, but the first thing to take note of is we have a range bar here as well. Okay. So this bar here is a range off support. And let's just put the big level in, which is going to be weekly Kijinsen. Okay, and we did have a Brooks gap close here, so let's just put that in. Okay, so the top of this pin bar here, price came back to. So let's just get down to the daily and we'll start seeing it a bit clearer. Okay, so I suppose we didn't get a daily close below this range, so this range is still in play. What I would expect is if we do get a daily close below the bottom of that weekly low, so below that range, and that normally indicates that you have a move to the downside. When you have a tail, in other words, price came down but then closed inside the range, that is typically a signal that the range is still intact. It may still come and try again, or alternatively move to the upside. Okay, so 2 days ago, in the beginning of the week, where we had this bar off the 50 and the moving averages, that was a pretty bullish setup. And obviously we had the USA panic mode hit us, which pushed us down. So, okay, so I think what I may do is I'll look for a setup and I'll hold the position through the day, but it's not really going to be my swing trade unless this pin bar holds. If this pin bar holds and we close higher up, then I may take a stab at it. So we'll get down to 4 hour now. But for now, in the daily, we are in the cloud, which is ranging. So expect sideways motion. Okay. We have broken through here. We've still got a twist, and we've got a twist there. So we've got a crossover of Kijinsen and Tikinson over there. We've got a bullish twist, and Sikuspan brown line is through price. It just needs to get through the cloud. There's 3 bullish signals, although this one is below the cloud, so it's kind of a weak signal. Let's just get to the 4 hour. Okay, so we broke through the cloud here. We've had a bearish twist, and bearish here. So on the 4 hour, we're still looking a little bit suspect. So I suppose what we want to see is the 4 hour Tikinson, the blue line. We want to see this turning, and I want to see the cloud starting to turn back to the upside. If that starts happening, then we have a good possibility of a move to the upside. But you see now, this 50% of the range, you can see how it was used as support here, and now we're coming to use it as resistance. So we'll need a break above that. So essentially, we need a break above the cloud on the 4 hour. This little bullish sentiment to come into play here for the longer term trades. So on the shorter term trades, so what I want you to bear in mind is I'm looking at a 24-hour chart, right? But the actual market closes at 5. Okay, so or 5:30. So what you want to do is you must bear in mind that that is actually a gap. So although futures doesn't show a gap, there is a gap here. Okay. So wherever the market closed on Tuesday, there is a gap, because this candle here and this one here was after hours. So what happens with gaps, and I detail it in my gap video, is you have price moving down, it forms a low, then it comes up and closes. The next day, it gaps down. So where were we? Over here. So 8 o'clock. So market opened here, and now it needs to go somewhere to find some resistance or some support. And what it does is it goes up to the previous low of the previous day, which is there. So this bar here. Okay? So you can see how price goes up, and then the sell-off happens. So a gap is always a sign of strength in the direction that it's going. Okay, so probably 60% of the time you're going to have price come up. You can put a limit in here with a pretty close stop loss. Okay, so I mean you can probably get away with like a 20-30 pip, yeah. I would put it above the 200 moving average basically, or to be safe above the Kijinsen. So let's just say it's a 40-point stop loss, okay? So you can actually put a limit in there for the moves to the downside. And what you're looking for is obviously you've got this tail here, and you've got another Brooks gap here, there. And you can see how we kind of pretty close to that. So let's just get to the 4 hour. Okay. So again, the importance of your levels. And that was a weekly Brooks gap. Okay. So there's your weekly Brooks gap, that purple line. And you look what happens on the hour. We hit it spot on. So there were two day trades here. The first one was short here, okay, and your target would have been the weekly Brooks gap over there. Put your trade in, and you could still be in on this trade, or you could have taken profit last night. But anyway, that would have that's kind of the trade I took. I got out of this before the close, so I wasn't keen to let it ride. So I got out of it at the top of this bar. But that just shows you that if you just pay attention to, especially with gaps, you look for the low, market, look for the gap and market, right? Those are your two levels that price is going to come to. There will be profit taking at that level. Whether the guys are short or long, they will get out of their positions at those two levels, okay, which normally accelerates to the downside. And any Brooks gap on a weekly or daily is a level that you should be in on, and you shouldn't even debate it. So this one here, I think our next level, so your stop here would have been to be safe, would have been a 60-point stop loss, or you could have just run a 20-point stop because it's a weekly level. So just put yourself below the cloud here. So it's very low risk for very high reward. So for the DAX, what we're looking for is, obviously there's still a gap here, and we're hitting the cloud, so I'd expect to bounce back. And the levels that I'm looking for are going to be as follows. So that's my first one, which is my Dickinson. The pivot will be another level. Okay. And Kijinsen will be a level. So anything in this area, I will look for longs again. And This may hold. We're on the 200 now, so this may actually hold. But then what I'll wait for is I'll wait for the gap to close, because there will be a pullback on the gap, and see where that pullback comes to on the gap before getting in. Your levels to the upside are going to be there, which is the previous swing low, this bar here, this tail. So that's going to be the first one. The second one will be the top of the range, and if that breaks and holds on the daily, then I'll be looking for 38.2 extension of this range, and then the range height, and then I'll be looking at the 161.8 extension. So I'll be looking for us to head towards 13,000. So that's kind of if this plays out as a swing trade. And there's no real diversions or any other signals here. So all we're really looking for is a bit of a pullback, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, so considering that the Dow is very bullish at the moment for me, I'm probably more biased to the bullish side. So whichever level gets held, if this level holds, then we'll see. But there may be worthwhile taking a stab off the 200 moving average here. But I really would expect this a little bit of a pullback to here before we attack this gap. Then a pullback, find some support on this 50% of the range, and then start moving to the upside. Now, if that's the way it plays out, then I'll start loading in for swing trading. But if we start heading back to this level here and stay below the 50, I'll be very cautious. I'll really be scalping, so it'll be day trades only. Anyway, guys, that's the DAX. Hope it helps. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, and give us a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys later. Cheers.